Kia ora whānau, and welcome to another episode of Get a Job and Get Healthy with Costas Enterprises. I am your host, Alex Costas, as always. I do apologise, I have not been on for a little bit. I've been a little bit busy doing other things. One of the things is what I'm currently working on. As you guys know, I am still currently redundant, but I am trying to fill my time doing other things. So I thought I'd go over what I'm trying to do and also what I'm looking into. I'm not going to give you the full details of that until I've actually launched, but there are some things that I'm sort of working on in the background, and also some ideas that you may have as well for passive income that might help you, basically. So first and foremost, let's get into all of the fun social stuff that we need to do. If you want to, you can always email me, doncostas@gmail.com. That's DON for Nike, COSTAS @gmail.com. You can also find me at the Kiwi Don on Twitter and also on Instagram. You can also find my partner's and mine's business, Onion Garden. That's www.anyengarden.com. We make coconut wax candles, and there's been quite a bit of stuff that we've been doing recently on that. You can also find us at Onion Garden Candles at Onion Garden _candles on Instagram. And of course www.costasenterprises.business.blog as always. So I want to say a huge thank you to everyone that has been listening even during this time. I do apologise that I have been a bit MIA because of this. But there's been a bit of stuff that I've been going on. Unfortunately, I have been a bit sick at times. I've been on this new drug, which is for my diabetes. And while it does help lower my blood sugar, it also makes me go to the toilet a lot, as well as makes me dizzy, makes me nauseous, and kind of screws up a lot of my problems, which doesn't make things fun. So that's by the by. But let's go on with what we're currently doing. So at the moment, I am still driving, obviously. And I always love doing these podcasts while I drive around the bays and all that sort of stuff. Oh, sorry. That's going to happen anyway. And always will happen. So I have got a new idea of what it is that I am going to do, and this is sort of in the same vein. So at the moment, we have a stall for the Onion Garden at our Wellington Collective, which is basically a artisan craft stall where a whole lot of things belong, and some people do like some drop shipping. We of course sell our 100% pure coconut wax candles, but there's all sorts of other little things that you can do as well. I am currently thinking about bringing a new stall in just for myself, and I'm currently getting stock, and the stock that I'm getting from is places like AliExpress, Temu, all those sorts of things as well. I'm not going to yet tell you what it is that I've created and what I'm doing, but what I've done is I've done a little bit of research, and this is niche research. One of the things that I do say quite a bit to you guys when I'm talking about getting things like your print on demand and all that sort of stuff is to do a bit of niche research and, drill down a little bit on something that you're going to build or create. And in this instance, I've done a little bit of niche research, and I think this would be a really, really good product which I'm bringing in. The stall will actually be mine and my partner's still, obviously, but mostly it'll be my stall, and I'll be stocking it up with stuff. And so my partner has some ideas of what she's going to do for a couple of shelves, and I've got ideas of what I'm going to do for the rest. And so we're going to create that and all that sort of thing. So it's not going to be a big stall, but I'm thinking that based on what it is that I'm buying and the markup that I can potentially charge, I'm thinking I can make quite a bit of profit, and at least within selling one or two products, I'll be able to pay for the rent of the actual of the stall per month, per week, which is the main thing, basically. And while it may not be profitable to start off with, I do think it is something that is going to be profitable in the future. And I'm hoping to launch in about 2 months, once all of the stock has arrived and I've set up everything. I do have some things that I need to finish doing first, which includes things like, I've created a logo, but there's other things that I'm going to create as well. Not health and safety, obviously, but, that sort of stuff as well. So, yeah, it should be a very interesting and hopefully quite a enjoyable way of making a little bit of extra passive income. The other things that I am looking into, which I think you should look into as well, is if you can, think about creating a Amazon Kindle Publishing, Amazon KDP it's called, Kindle Digital Publishing account, okay? Now the reason why you want to do this is you may want to create a journal or just a blank notebook or something with a fun cover, and then you can actually create those in Canva and then upload these to Amazon KDP and sell them as a digital product, which Amazon will then sell for you, and you get the markup on that. So you could sell a journal for, say, $20, and then, you may pay Amazon $13, $14, and then you get a full $6, $7 per journal that you sell or book. You can make calendars, you can make whatever it is that you want, basically, and they will print it for you. So it's quite a cool little feature where kind of similar to print on demand, but being the fact that this is run through Amazon and you don't need to have an Amazon merch account. That's the important part. Because Amazon merch, if you do try to get into merch by Amazon, which is what it's called, you need to be approved. And there's certain tier lists and all that sort of thing. It's actually quite hard to get into usually. And you only get sort of 10 products at a time. With Amazon KDP, it's a little bit different. It's a digital product which Amazon will sell and print and create for you, but there's no sort of like list of, hey, you have to stop here, that sort of thing, which I think is quite a cool little feature anyway. So yeah, I've just seen a video about this. I will be doing more of an in-depth thing about this in the future once I've actually created a few and tested it. Obviously, again, like I'm talking about, you may want to look at things like your niche. What do you want to sell? You can't just sell the generic cover and hope like hell it works. Like, there's videos on this sort of stuff. I do suggest that you do look into that stuff. What else am I doing? I am getting quite reasonably regular money from Askable. I've been doing, I look at the Askable website every day and get, around about maybe $5, $10 each time. A couple of interviews I've done 35, 45. I've registered for one that's 120. So, it's like for about an hour of your time, you can get quite a significant amount of money. And they actually value your opinion. I did one recently for $35 for 45 minutes, which, that was done on a Saturday, which wasn't any, no problem with me. And yeah, I found it really, really interesting and easy to do. So yeah, I strongly suggest that is something that you guys could look at. And if you are a New Zealander, it's a lot easier to get into. Sharesies, I've been investing. I'm still waiting for, and I will give you an update on my Sharesies savings account of how that's going as well, because we don't know for this month. We're still waiting. So hopefully by next episode that will be there, and I'll give you a bit more of a breakdown on that as well. Other things I'm doing, as I said, I've got my print-on-demand stuff as well. That's just sitting in the background. I haven't done anything with that in a while. I'm looking into other little things as well. Not so much crypto. I'm looking more at things like, physical things that I can do and keep me motivated, keep me happy. Something that I can actually do with my hands, basically, which I quite enjoy. But yeah, really, really interesting stuff. And still looking for a job, but I haven't actually started looking properly yet. It's more one of those things that I'm thinking of becoming a contractor and contracting out my services. So yeah, I'm going to look at things like speaking to people that I know and that are contractors and getting an idea of like how much to charge for the work that they do, because they do the same sort of thing that I do, a little bit more advanced, but at the same time it's always worth an idea to have a look at what your hourly rate is. My hourly rate before was close to $30. So yeah, it'll be those sorts of things that I look into, and really looking forward to starting that journey as well. I've been listening to a book called Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty, Shetty. Really, really good book. Helpful for thinking more about like yourself, taking the time that you need to relax, and taking the time that you need to sort of breathe and just be aware of what it is that you're doing, and be mindful of yourself. I do like these books every so often. I find them very, very helpful and very, very interesting. So I do always suggest people to at least think about it, especially if they are having problems, or they are finding it really, really difficult to focus and that sort of stuff. Like, it's just really, really good just to have that, and to help you sort of like, process what it is that's going on. Like for me, I didn't really take time to properly grieve my father the first time, and so a lot of emotions came up when my mum passed away. Luckily, I'm in a good place when I've managed to deal with my mum passing earlier this year. But at the same time, when it first happened, I had that. 2 months later, I lost my job. I did not feel well, like mentally, and in quite a rut. Even though I managed to say goodbye to mum and felt, at peace with that, that only came because I spent time with one of these sorts of books previously that prepared me for those sorts of thinking. So yeah, it's those sorts of things that I do suggest you at least look into it. At the very least, do look at some like mental health and helping yourself with that sort of stuff. Because, big changes like that, it's very, very consuming, both mentally, physically, and spiritually, of course, and emotionally. So, yeah, I do think those sorts of things are really good. I do want to talk about an amazing book, which I think everyone, especially if you're in New Zealand and you struggle with money, this is one of those books that is a must read, and it's literally less than 100 pages. Okay, it's so simple, and it's called Money Made Simple. Money Made Simple, that's what it's called. Managing Your Money, a guide for all New Zealanders, and it's by Sam Stubbs, S-T-U-B-B for Bob, S. So Sam Stubbs, Money Made Simple. Why is this book so revolutionary? Because it helps a whole lot of Kiwis that have never learned about money, like myself, about how to deal with money, how to prepare for things like tax, how to save for your environment, how to get out of debt. This book is honestly one of those books that I think everybody should, especially if you are a Kiwi, you should read it. Like, it is definitely focused at New Zealanders, and it's not just focused at youth, but it's also focused at like people that are in debt and have problems with debt. So yeah, I think if you do, or you want to know how to invest and what you should potentially put money towards, and you are younger, please read this book. This is really, really important. It's a great way of learning what to do with your money and how to make your money work for you, because that is the most important thing. A lot of the books that I've read about the financial stuff, they talk about like, you need to get out of debt, you need to do this, you need this. The main thing is you also need to make your money work for you, not just you work for your money. And that's where I am in my life. I am trying to get to the point where I don't just work for money. I make my money work for me. I'm looking more at things like, if I put money into an investment, do I get dividends off that investment? If I get dividends off those investments, that reinvests into the money that I create and creates more interest. I'm looking more at things like compounding. When I look at investments and shares and all that sort of things, I always look at what do I get back from my investment. If I do get something back, how much do I get back? Is it something that I can put more into and then hopefully live off in the future? Because that's, at the end of the day, what I want to do. I want to get enough money in investments and shares and funds so that it can earn my own money, and then I can use that money to, live. I can live off my investments. I can live off my dividends, and then that money just keeps growing. And then when I need to buy, say, a new house or a new car, it's nothing. It's easy, and it doesn't make a dent in my future. And yes, I started this very, very late. I'm 40 years old now, but it's not too late to start this stuff. I'll give you an example. My KiwiSaver. So KiwiSaver, for those that don't know, is very similar to an American, what they call a 401k, or which is like it's basically something that the government helps you save for your future, for your retirement. So with New Zealand, the KiwiSaver is a fund that you can put money into, that your employer can put money into, and the government can put money into. And they will usually match you up to 3%. Now, for years, I didn't have what they call a KiwiSaver. I have something called the State Service Retirement Scheme, which came out before KiwiSaver, but only about a year before. They matched me 3% of what it is that I put in. So because they matched my 3%, for years, I only put 3% in. Because of that, I was a bit of an idiot. So for years, I just put 3%, 3%, 3%. So, before I wised up and started putting 10% in of my pay, and that's per year. So 10% of my pay per year was going into my retirement fund. In that time, I gained about $30,000 in my retirement fund. Now, I'm not working at the moment, so it's just sitting there, and it's just compounding, and the money's just going back, and it's just keeping, it's still raising. It's actually raised, since I've left my job, it's raised about another $1,000, and that's the power of the compounding. So I have no problems in telling you that my total that I've put in is about $74,000, okay? So that's how much I've put in, how much my employer has put in. Now that is about 1 year's salary of my salary that I was earning before I left. Actually, it's a little bit more than what I was earning. That has grown an additional $16,000 because of the compounding that I've done. And I've only had this 20 years almost. So you can imagine, if you are a young person and you start a 401k, a REIT, which is a real estate investment trust over in America. They also have the REITs. One of the things you will learn is people say you should maximize your 401k, but your 401k only can earn a certain amount. Make sure you're hitting that maximum if you're in the US. In New Zealand, 3% is the minimum you can put in, and it's also the maximum that your employer will put in. So make sure you're putting in more for yourself. Put in, if you can, if you're starting a new job, put in 10%, because it comes out before. So if you know what you're getting before, then you are able to actually budget on what it is that you're getting. When I do start my new job, wherever I work, even if I'm doing contracting, my KiwiSaver will be 10%, okay? The reason for that is because it'll come out, I won't even notice it. And then when I can start living off my money that's coming in, I can go, cool, if 10% of my money is going into KiwiSaver each week, each fortnight, then by the time I'm done, that will compound. And I can start going, well, I'm earning this now, maybe I can increase it to 12%. Maybe I can increase it to 5%. Now, I do advise people to start slow, usually start on 3%, 4%, but if you're new to the workforce and you know, if you do some figures and you know you can live on less than what it is with after taxes come out, and if you've got things like student loans and all that sort of stuff, work out how much you will get and then see how much you can put in of your KiwiSaver. Because you may start at 3%, but even 1% more, even if you put in 4%, you're doing better than the rest of the average. If you can put in 5%, even better. But if you can start your new job, if you do have a new job, and if you're earning, If you're earning 50, 60,000 a year and you don't have a mortgage and you only have a rent, or you do have a very small mortgage and you can work out that you can actually cover the cost of some of that mortgage normally, then think about potentially putting the remainder, like some of the percent, even 3% into your KiwiSaver. Make sure you're doing it. If you can add an additional 1%, just as a starter, until you get your next pay increase. So when you start your job, go, I'd like to put my KiwiSaver at 5%, please. They will put in 3%. That's 8% per year going into your KiwiSaver. And if you're on KiwiSaver and not the State Service Retirement Scheme, you're also entitled to more money from the government. They actually give you up to $570 per year additionally on top. This is the sort of thing I'm talking about. Like, it's not hard. If you aren't working, if you're not working and you're on a benefit, or you're on a New Zealand, well, not a New Zealand super, but if you're on something where you're getting a slight money, open a KiwiSaver. The reason why? You can put $20 a week. My mother did this. She put $20 a week out of her savings that came through KiwiSaver, and she was on a benefit, and that turned into, after doing it for 7 years, it turned into $16,000 because the government was topping her up as well. So she was putting $20 of her own each week, and then the government were giving her $10 extra each week, and they give you, at that time, they gave you $1,000 just for opening a KiwiSaver to start. This is, I mean, yes, she took it out when she turned about 72, and she had it for about 10 years. So for 10 years, $20 a week turned into $16,000. And you cannot take it out until you turn 65. But if you imagine that you do that at a young age, and you put just, even the base minimum, you're going to get more. You could put $1 a day until you turn 65 into KiwiSaver or shares or investments, and the compounding factor. So if you put 27,251, I think it is. That's how many days there are from the day that you're born until the day that you hit 65. If you put that much in, $1 a day, that 27,000 over the year will get close to $160,000 because of compounding interest. Now imagine if you started this when you were younger. I cannot stress enough that if you are between the ages of 15 to 60, start your KiwiSaver. Start your investing. Even if you're 60 to 65, 5 years of compounding is something. And it doesn't matter whether you're on a benefit. It doesn't matter whether you're working. If you're not working, I know it's hard, but if you can put any money aside. Same with Sharesies. Same with Askables. What I'm doing with my Askables is the money that comes through on my PayPal, I am using that to fund my next business. I am making my money work for me. And that is the most important thing I'm trying to get through to you. Make your money work for you. If you get money and you just go spend it frivolously, go buy those new Nikes, buy that new, those new NMDs or something like that, your money's wasted. You buy a new car because you feel like you need a new car. Your money is wasted. So take that money instead and make it work for you. Make it grow for you. Put it in some investments. You don't have to spend it all. You don't have to invest it all. But if you can invest, say, if your money comes in at the end of the week, and after you've paid everything, so you make sure you have no debt, pay down your debt, pay your student loan as fast as you can. Don't pay the minimum, pay a little bit more than the minimum, because the interest will kill you. If you've got credit cards, if you've got a personal loan, pay it off early. Pay more. Focus on paying it. Then, after you've finished paying it, get $1,000 in an emergency fund, in a savings account. Just keep it in the emergency fund. Just get to 1,000. That stays there. Start putting a little bit away for a rainy day account. So if something goes wrong, like I've lost my job, then I've got some money there aside. Now, I did not do that. I wish I did. but I did get an emergency account, and I put that money aside, and that money's now earning interest. Okay, and I only put every time, so I do have a redundancy, so I do have some money, but I put that money somewhere else, so that what I can do is I can then transfer over $1,000 every month, and then on that $1,000, I will take $100, put it in this account that I use to pay my bills, put another 100 in Sharesies, put another 100 in my emergency account, put another 100 in 2 other accounts that I've got. And while I only have $400 for the month, that's $400 when I'm not working. I don't need much money for that. So now what I'm doing is I'm putting money inside and trying to create more money from nothing, which is the Askables, for example. And you can do Agito, and you can do all these other little ones as well. But the main thing is, when that money comes into your PayPal, don't use it for stupid shit. Use it for something that you want to create. Try to make money off it. Sharesies. I took $100 out of my PayPal. I put it into Sharesies because I was like, I haven't put any money in my Sharesies. I then put that Sharesies into an investment. That investment is now earning money for me. Now, it's not millions, but as you grow it, the better it gets. I cannot stress this enough to anybody listening. And while this is focused at more youth at the moment, the book that I suggested is more focused towards getting people out of debt. It's more focused to New Zealanders, but it's also focused towards the youth, of getting them earlier. Even if you have not started, if you're someone listening in America, I've got most of my audience, you guys are American. Take your money, get your 401k, max it out if you can. Then take the rest of your money and get a REIT. Okay, do your research, because you can put more money into your REIT. But the very first thing you do after you've done the 401k, because make sure your 401k is done, pay off your debts. Get rid of your credit cards. Please, credit cards are one of the worst things that's for you. Trust me, I know. I spent years living off my credit card. I went credit card to credit card, and I would use one credit card to pay off the other credit card. The interest that you pay is horrible. I bought a $700 computer. I paid $2,000 for that computer on top of the $700 because I was paying it through my credit card. I used to get HPs all the time, and I'd never pay the maximum. I would pay the very minimum. I bought another computer which took me 6 years to pay off. Now, this computer was a shit computer. But what did I do? I kept it on there and I just paid for it that way. And it ended up costing me about $4,000 for a shitty PC. I had a TV, same deal, and a PlayStation. I had to have a PlayStation Pro. And I bought it for me. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my PlayStation Pro and I love my TV. They're still working. I'm really happy with them. But from a $2,500 TV and PlayStation Pro, I paid close to $7,000 because I bought it on an HP, paid the less, used the card. They gave me a special card, which was, I'm going to be completely open and honest. I had a GE Money account, or a GE, or a Genie, I think they're called now. They keep going through different names. And with this Genie account, they gave me a credit card, which I could use. And they were like, go ahead, use it. You got money. And then I had money, and I was using it for everyday things. The problem was I was paying interest on every item. I was paying interest on what I was charged. And in the end, I was, and I'm going to be open and honest, out of all of my debts, that everything that I had, at one point of my life, I had $36,000 in debt. Now, that is including buying the car that I'm driving right now. Okay? This was only a couple of years ago. I got my eyes opened. I was reading books. I was listening to books. And I listened. I started doing what they said. They said, pay off your debts. The best thing I did, I went to my bank and I said, I want to do this, this, this. Can you help me with a debt consolidation loan? And they were like, of course, but you need to do these things and you need to cancel these things. And I was like, fine, sign me up. And I did. I spoke to someone. She was fantastic. She was really helpful at my bank. And they gave me the debt consolidation loan of, at the time, $27,000. No. $29,000. Sorry, $29,000 was my debt consolidation loan. And they were like, look, this is the minimum you can pay. I said, I don't want to pay the minimum. I want to pay more than the minimum. I want to pay it off. They go, look, you can't. You got to do this. So I paid the minimum for about 5 months. But during that time, I was like, can I make one-off payments? So I would make a one-off payment every time I had an extra $1,000. I would put money aside, and as soon as I hit that $1,000, I would go, right, here's $1,000, and pay it off. And that chunk would just start to kill that interest. But I called up my credit cards. I said, look, I'm cutting my credit card. I'm cancelling my credit cards. They were like, we can give you more credit. I was like, I don't want more credit. I want to get rid of it. Now I have a Visa debit card, so I only spend what I have in my account. Best decision I ever made was getting rid of the credit cards, getting that debt consolidation loan, and starting to pay the shit off. I also used the money to help me get into a flat. I was paying too much rent when I was living at home with my mum. I was paying more than I would. I was paying $500 a week. So 90% of my money was going to my mum to pay for stuff that, and then I was paying a bill on top of that as well. I was paying my Vodafone energy bill, my Vodafone internet bill, and all that sort of stuff. Like, I did all of these things to try and get out of debt. And then when I did, I created accounts. I started saving money into accounts. I created savings through I created shares. I put money into shares. And then I started having money. I started being able to afford things. I started being okay when there was when one of our tires blew out or something, and I was able to buy a set of tires. I was amazed at what I was able to do once I got out of debt. And now, I'm not working, and I'm still getting money from doing the things like going through Askables. If I want to, right now, I can take out up to $2,500 out of my sharesies. And that's my bank account that I could effectively use if I wanted to. And I'm not saying I'm rich. I'm not rich. I'm still quite poor. I literally have $15 in my account at the moment. But I know that I've got $140 coming over from PayPal very shortly, which I'm going to use towards my business that I'm creating. And then when that stuff comes, I can still pay for my bills. If I need to take money, I can take money from my redundancy. But when I do that, I don't just use the full, for example, if I take 1,000 over, I don't just use the full 1,000 just for shits and giggles. I go, right, 100 of this is going here, 100 of this, I separate my accounts. I've talked about some of the books before that I think people should read. And in my next episode, I will go over some of those books I think everyone should read. And these are books that are available through audiobooks. And if you are an entrepreneur, these are things that you should be listening to. You should be reading. You should be doing. I know it's coming off a bit of me as ranting and also me as preaching. I'm only preaching because I was there. I was in debt. I was borrowing money from people. And I couldn't pay it back more than $100 a week, $200 a week. Then finally, with the debt consolidation loan, I paid everybody off. And then I was like, cool. Now what do? I started saving. I started putting money away for a wants account, a needs account, a savings account. I have about 8 accounts. Trust me, the sooner you get your ass out of debt, the better you will be. It just takes... You will be amazed at how much weight comes off your shoulders. And if you're worried about money, get a KiwiSaver, get a 401k. Put the money aside so you don't even see it. It comes directly out of your account. If you're quite young, if you're looking at KiwiSavers, or you're looking at 401ks, or you're looking at office REITs or anything like that, If you are quite young, and when I say young, I'm saying you're under the age of 25 to 30, put it in a more high-risk fund. I did something silly. I went conservative. So, or you could go with, you could go with conservative as well. So, but I had it as a very, very small thing. So it was mostly safe money, but I wasn't making much money. But if you're younger, you can put it at a higher risk, which means that, you will have some investments in shares, and that money will just, you won't know if it goes up or down. It doesn't matter, because you can't touch it till you turn 65. So the money will just sit there and grow and grow and grow, and it reinvests itself. That's the most important thing. It's the same as when you're doing investing with shares or investments. If you can look for an investment that has a dividend, doesn't matter what dividend it is, even if it's 1%, it's still 1% of what it is that you've got in there. You got 10,000 in there, that's $1,000. No, that's $100 every week, every year. That's going back in. Then that 1,000 becomes 1,100. Then that 1,100 becomes, a little bit more than that, a little bit more, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And if you add more, guess what? It gets better. But do your research. Look at the things that you're looking at. But with something like a KiwiSaver or an office REIT or an index fund or anything like that, like with a KiwiSaver, a 401k, because you're not touching it, you're not managing it. Put it somewhere like Vanguard. Vanguard do a 401k. If you can invest it in the S&P 500, which has an 8% return usually every year, that's a great thing to do. And Vanguard or Fidelity are really well done with their 401ks, with their REITs. With the REIT, you can keep adding money in. So once you're out of debt and you've got that spare money, work out how much money you've got. If you've got an extra $50 or $100 that you can spare, that you do not need, after you've put a little bit away for savings, after you've put a little bit away to cover the costs of things like your emergency rainy day fund, after you've paid your bills, after you've got your food ready, and you've got yourself a little bit of play money, that extra $100, $50, fucking $20, put it in an account. That $20 stays in that account. When you hit $100, put it in your office REIT. Your REIT. Sorry, I'm calling it office REIT because I'm investing in an office REIT through Sharesies. I'm giving it a try. You can top up your REITs. So with your savings account, you can have a savings account, you can have an investment account. So in your investment account, if you're putting aside $100 each pay to your savings account, $100 to your investment, $100 to your, all the things I was talking about before, then guess what? That $100, you can, when you get 1,000, you can put that 1,000 straight into your REIT, and bam, that 1,000 automatically becomes compounded with what it is that you're doing. But even $100 more, even $1 more is better with something like a REIT. As I said, if you put $1 a day until the age you turn 65, that's only $27,000. That $27,000 becomes $160,000 to $130,000 on a basic return. That's assuming that it doesn't even get better than 8%, which most funds do. Think about looking after yourself and making your money work for you. Askables, sign up, it's free. Amazon KDP, sign up, it's free. You can create journals. There's literally templates in Canva. That's how I'm going to create mine, because I've got a Canva. You can get a free Canva account. But do the research. Look at the YouTube videos. Look at the TikTok videos that talk about it. See what works. Create a niche. Don't create anything copyrighted, obviously, because it'll get taken down. It's Amazon. But at the same time, think about what it is that you can create. What are you interested in? Is it something that other people would be interested in? Would people want a journal of it? Get yourself a PayPal. I know it can be a pain to set up, but if it is set up and it's not working properly, call them. I did. I spoke to someone for 2 hours trying to get my PayPal sorted when I first started doing it. I'm so happy I did, because that 2 hours of time has now earned me close to $700, $800, because now I can use their PayPal for what it is that I need it for. This stuff is hard initially, but once you do it, put the hard work in, guess what happens? You start getting rewarded. And with something like Askables, or even Adapole, I think is another one, I'll find out and I'll let you guys know. Guess what? It's money that's free for you. With Sharesies, if you get an invite friend request, which I will put, I'll tell you what, I will put a reference down in this podcast notes. And if you are a Kiwi, use my reference. You will get $5, I will get $5. Take that $5, put it in the savings if you don't believe me about investments. Otherwise, put it in the Smart Shares New Zealand S&P 500 fund. That's what it's called. Smart Shares New Zealand S&P 500. The share is literally $8 a share, but it replaces, and as a New Zealand version of the S&P 500 Vanguard S&P 500, which is $350 US a share. You will get returns off it. $5 will go up. And when you start seeing that, start doing your research. Look at some of the books that I've mentioned in my other previous podcast episodes. Go back and find them. Listen to them. Honestly, this stuff is really important, and I cannot stress it enough. Money is important. Make it work for you. Don't let debt scare you. Pay it off. I know it's hard to live on the bones of your ass for years. I know how hard it is to live paycheck to paycheck. I've done it. But imagine once you've consolidated all your debt. And if you can't get a debt consolidation loan, that's okay. Consolidate it yourself. Look at all the debts that you've got. Don't lend money to pay it off. Okay? Don't go to a loan shark. Don't go to one of these Harmonies or something like that. Because those guys get 18% to 28% per lending. Meaning you got to pay 18 to 28% on what it is that borrowed. If you borrow $1,000, then guess what? You're paying 28%. Then it becomes $2,800 you have to pay back within a year. The interest will kill you. So, pick one of your items that has the highest interest. Pay it off first. Pay the minimum on the others, pay that other one more. Clear it. If it's a credit card, try to get rid of your credit cards first. They're the worst thing. I know it's hard. I know credit cards are great to use for buying everything. But pay off the credit card with the most interest first. The others, you still pay. Never miss your payments. You will get defaulted. Okay? One default's $25, $50 each time. Then there's a consolidation fee. Pay the minimum on everything else. Pay the maximum on your worst debt, and then work through them. After you've done that, don't go spend the extra money. If you spend $100 paying off that credit card, don't then go spend that $100 afterwards. Use that $100 and pay off the next one. Pay off the next one that you would be paying. So and then pay the minimum off that as well. So if you're paying $35 off one of them, and you're paying $100 each week to pay off the first credit card, then pay $135 off the next credit card. Then when that debt goes out, take the next debt, pay that off. If you've bought a car, pay off the car. Like look at what your interests are. It's okay to call up them and say, hey, I want to pay this off quicker. How do I do that? Can I make extra payments? If you get a bonus, don't go, wow, I got a bonus, I got to spend it now. Take that bonus and go, cool, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use 800 of it. If you got a $1,000 bonus, for example, take 800 of it, use that towards paying off the worst debt, or spread it across all your other ones. Because honestly, you will see how much damage you deal to that debt when you start increasing how much you repay. As I said, I paid off $36,000 in 2 years. And the way I did that was, once I'd paid everything off, I was paying the minimum. I was putting aside, at the time, they were not letting me make any payments. I could only make the minimum payments. But then something happened. My bank went, oh yeah, we now offer one-off payments in our banking app. Otherwise, every time I got $1,000, I would take that money and I would go directly to the bank and go, I want to pay off my loan, here you go. And I would see it cut drastically. And I just started watching and I was like, oh my God, I've paid off this much. Oh my God, I've paid off this much. Now, yes, I was getting a lot more income. You may be like, Alex, I don't have enough money. I can't do this. I don't have enough coming in. Do what I'm talking about. Do the Askables, do the PayPal, do the stuff that will get you that extra money. Use that money for good. Use that money not to make money for yourself. Use that money to pay off the debt. Because the rest of the money will come once you've paid off that debt. Because once you've paid off that debt, you'll be like, oh my God, I now have an extra $500, $600. What do I do with this? I take some of it, I invest it in myself. I invest it in shares or investment funds or index funds or sharesies or your 401k or whatever. But during this time, while you're paying off your debt, do try to have if you can't get a REIT, do try to have a 401k. Yes, it's going to put you on the bones of your ass. I know it will. It's going to be hard, but that money will still earn for you while you're paying off your debt. And then remind yourself that you're doing good for you. $10 a day is $70 a week. You put $70 into a 401k every week, and your employer matches your $70, it's $140 a week. Now, I don't know if they match you dollar for dollar based on what it is, but I know there is a maximum you can put in. And once you are out of debt, if you can, hit that maximum every year. I think it's 4,000 or something, or 16,000 or something like that. Or so, no, 1,600. But once you got that maximum, you keep doing it. If you have extra money to spare after you've paid off your debts, after you've started earning income from other things, think about what you can do with it. Put it in a REIT. Then once your REIT has started working for you, top it up, top it up, top it up. Get a savings account. Start looking at how much money you have after you pay your debts at the moment. And if you haven't got debts, start looking at how much money you've got and how much you can put aside. Where can it go? If you need to, open another account. Put one account, make it your savings account. Make it a high interest savings account if you need to. But read the rules. Because some of the rules with the savings account are, if you put money into the savings account, you have to put in $20 at least every month. Otherwise, you get no interest. If you take money out, you might lose the interest. Look at the rules that are available to you. If you can't do that, put it in a normal account and then put it into another savings account somewhere else. Transfer it to a bank account where you can get your interest back. Put money aside and invest it in a fund like an index fund or the S&P 500, as I said. Make your money work for you. Pay down your debts. Get yourself to financial freedom. Read. Knowledge is the most important part of all of this. The only reason I know this, my partner was the one that got me to start reading. I didn't read before this. Not properly. I read comics. Now, I love comics. And I don't like reading, but I listen to audiobooks. So I started looking at audiobooks. I started reading some of these books. I started understanding what they were trying to tell me. And now I'm in a position where I can start it. I can do it properly. Please, please, please Learn about compounding. Learn about all the things I'm trying to teach you. Okay, that's enough ranting for now. We go. I didn't realise how long this episode was, and I apologise that I got quite emotional about it. But I do really want people to succeed. I want money for you, money for me, money for everyone. I want you to not have to worry about money again. I want you to live the way you want to live, without the fear of money. Because that's how I want to live. I don't want to have to worry about my kids growing up like I grew up, on a benefit. Finding it hard to everyone else in the class having really fancy toys and fancy things growing up, and me having nothing and feeling shit about it by wearing the same clothes over and over and over. Getting mocked about it. I don't want my kids to go through that. What I'm trying to do is set up my future, but also their future, my grandkids' future. I don't want to be rich, I want to be wealthy. And I want you to be wealthy. There is a difference. Very, very big difference. Rich is the guy, like one of the best examples is, rich is LeBron James. Wealthy is the guy that pays LeBron James. You know what I'm talking about? Like, Michael Jordan is wealthy because he invested in the Nikes, in the Air Jordans and stuff. He doubled down on that. He built his brand. It's not about being rich, it's about being wealthy. And how do you get wealthy? You get financially smart. There's so many books about get rich, get rich, get rich. Read them. Understand what they're saying. If you don't understand something, get a dictionary, look it up. What do they mean by interest-bearing? You can search on Google and find out what it means. It's not about being rich, it's about being wealthy. Chris Rock said it in his stand-up years ago. That's where I want to be. That's where you should want to be. Debt-free, wealthy, and happy. Because money can bring you happiness. Everyone says money can't bring you happiness. Bullshit. Money can bring you happiness. But at the end of the day, happiness also starts with you. Because only you are responsible for your happiness. I love you all. Thank you very much for listening to my rant. I apologize. But as always, I love you guys and good luck.